What is up, everybody? And on today's Unbiased Hard Take, the Pro Bowl roster has been announced, and again, these are the initial rosters, I'm sure, with Super Bowl players making it, and opt-out players and injuries, things like that. Alternatives will eventually get selected at some point, but currently we have the current Pro Bowl rosters, and on the AFC side, on the skill positions, like quarterback, we have Josh Allen from the Bills, Joe Burrow from the Bengals, and Lamar Jackson from the Ravens. At running back, we have Derrick Henry from the Ravens, Joe Mixon from Houston, and Jonathan Taylor from the Colts. Looking at receiver, Jamar Chase from the Bengals, Jerry Jeudy with the Browns, Nico Collins with the Texans, and Zay Flowers with Baltimore, Brock Bowers with the Raiders at tight end, and Travis Kelce with the Chiefs at tight end as well. And then some big names on the defensive side of the ball: Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, Max Crosby, Chris Jones, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Khalil Mack, Nick Bonito from the Broncos, Roquan Smith, Denzel Ward, Patrick Surtain, Derek Singletary, Marlon Humphrey, Minkin Fitzpatrick, Kyle Hamilton. And currently, Chris Boswell for the kicker, and return specialist Marvin Mims, and punter Logan Cook from the Jaguars. Then, moving on over to the world of the NFC here, shift my tab over. We have Jared Goff, from the Lions. We have Jaden Daniels from the Commanders, and Sam Darnold from the Vikings at running back. Saquon Barkley from Philadelphia, obviously. Jamar Gibbs from Detroit. Josh Jacobs from Green Bay. Wide receiver, we have Justin Jefferson from Minnesota. Amon-Ra St. Brown from the Lions. CeeDee Lamb from the Cowboys, and Terry McLaurin from the Commanders. Tight ends, George Kittle from the 49ers. McBride for Arizona. And then some notable names on the defensive side of the ball: Rashawn Gary from Green Bay, Nick Bosa, 49ers, Micah Parsons from Dallas, Van Ginkel from the Vikings, Fred Warner from the Niners, Byron Murphy from the Vikings, Devin Witherspoon from Seattle, and Xavier McKinney from Green Bay. Budda Baker from the Cardinals, and Brian Branch will wrap up the safety position as well. Jack Fox is the punter from the Lions. And you're looking at our place kicker as Brandon Aubrey from the Cowboys. And then return specialist is Turpin and Hodge. So, obviously the Pro Bowl is not what it used to be. They will face off in a bunch of skill competitions. Apparently a new game has been added. A couple things have been added to the Pro Bowl, so we'll see how they do with that. Apparently a new passing competition is in. Some notable Packers, again, Xavier McKinney did make the Pro Bowl, one of the Defensive Player of the Year candidates, at least in my opinion. At least he should be a finalist, I think. Josh Jacobs from the Packers, also at over 1,000 yards. If Saquon Barkley didn't exist right now, we'd be talking about Josh Jacobs a lot more. And then, of course, Saquon Barkley's relatively deserving, over 2,000 yards, only the 9th player of all time to reach that feat. But some other notable things as well. You have the Baltimore Ravens had the most Pro Bowlers with 9. You had a bunch of other teams with multiple Pro Bowlers. The Lions have 7. The Vikings had 6. Philadelphia had 6. The Chiefs had 5. Cowboys had 5. And all the other teams with 5 or more. So again, the Ravens lead that. The teams that had no Pro Bowlers, unfortunately, the wall of shame this year goes to the Miami Dolphins, the Tennessee Titans, the New Orleans Saints, and the New York Jets. Imagine that the Jets are on that list. At least they're good for something. So, again, that's the list. The Packers had 3 total Pro Bowlers. Jordan Love was named an alternative, as well as other Packer players. So we'll see how the alternative list comes out. I actually looked. Normally there's a lot of snubs. People get mad, but I actually had a hard time finding snubs for this. I mean, because McBride had over 1,000 yards. Khalil Mack, he was on the list. 6 sacks, kind of a disappointing season, but at some point it is a popularity contest to a massive degree. Let's not sugarcoat it here. I mean, CeeDee Lamb's still good. I think that's a good pick, over 1,000 yards, 100 catches. With multiple quarterbacks in the lineup. People say Patrick Mahomes, oh my, he didn't make the Pro Bowl for the first time. But you also got to consider that Lamar Jackson's having another MVP-like season, and they've already been in the playoffs, as are the Chiefs. And you have Joe Burrow, who leads all statistical categories, and they still have a playoff chance with a horrible roster on the defensive side of the ball. So, I mean, and Josh Allen, obviously, they're in the playoffs, and his statistics, he's an MVP caliber player this year as well. The stats just aren't there for Mahomes this year. Not a disrespect to him. They've lost one game. They're the best team in football. But football's a team game. Pro Bowl's more of an individual thing. The stats just are not there. Looking at him, again, under 4,000 yards, around a 50% success rate. Just not Mahomes on the stat sheet, but he's really good situationally. So I don't really consider that even to be a snub. Travis Kelce made it, and he's having a statistical horrible year as well. He only has, again, 823 yards. But, I mean, looking Brock Bowers, okay, yeah, over 1,000 yards. But then you have Travis Kelce, who's the second best tight end in the AFC. Maybe Jonnu Smith from the Miami Dolphins. People say, oh, he's having a better year. Yeah, he is slightly, but let's look at the stat sheet. He only has 79 catches compared to Travis Kelce's 97. Again, I'm not one to jump on the Chiefs bandwagon here. I've said that they get a lot of favorable calls, it seems like, and it's kind of suspicious at times. But if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Travis Kelce is not a bad pick for the Pro Bowl this year. He had more catches and only has 5 less yards currently. And you do have to take into consideration the Chiefs are in the playoffs and Miami is not, and they still need some help. So I'll also, even Rashawn Gary, I'm a Packers lover, Packer loyalist. I mean, I'm happy he's in it, but I think at 6.5 sacks, he's never had 10 sacks or more in his career. To see him make the initial roster was kind of surprising. I thought he'd be more of an alternate type of player, but good to see a Packer get in there, obviously, for Rashawn Gary. Happy for him. But that was kind of head-scratching as well. And the biggest one, if there really is a complaint, is Baker Mayfield didn't make it. But, I mean, who are you going to take out in the NFC? Jaden Daniels with the Commanders. Who thought the Commanders were going to be a playoff team? He's looking at Rookie of the Year honors. He's having an outstanding season. He absolutely deserves to be there. Sam Darnold, what he's doing with the Vikings. We have to wonder if J.J. McCarthy's even going to be there next year at this point. Sam Darnold might be the guy moving forward. You really have to consider that. And then you also have Jared Goff. And if I'm going to take anyone out of this, it's probably going to be Jared Goff. Let's look at him and Mayfield's stats. I mean, Goff has more yards, 4,398, compared to Mayfield's 4,279. Both teams have had injuries and rough stretches, but both have winning records and look like they're going to be in the playoffs. I mean, Tampa Bay hasn't quite clinched yet, but it sure looks like it's going to become that. And Mayfield, a 39 touchdown to 15 interception ratio. Goff, 36 and 10. So Goff, less turnovers, less touchdowns, barely, more yards. Again, the numbers there are pretty identical. Both teams have winning records. It looks like they're both going to be playoff teams. But we have to look at the consideration that the Lions are still fighting for the 1 seed, and Tampa Bay has not even quite clinched yet. They look like they're going to, but they're a far cry from what the Lions have been. And when you truly play for one of the more hyped teams of this season, again, that popularity contest is going to come in there. I don't have a problem with Goff because, again, they're fighting for that number 1 seed, still have a very good chance at that. And the stats are dang near identical. So I don't have really any problems with this year's Pro Bowl roster. Again, that's all I got. Again, like, subscribe, hit the bell, like us on Facebook, check out the Sports Fact today. Again, Packers and Steelers have both clinched a playoff spot. Good for me and JB. Fantasy Football Super Bowl is coming up. X going to take it from me, which is me. Takes on Nation 87 for that Fantasy Football Championship title. Again, we will see you all in next week's video. That's all I got. Boiler up. Let's go Heat. Winning record, baby. We're back on track. But most importantly, go Pack, go, baby. Chicago week, ownership week. We're coming for y'all.